So you're kind of barely a human right now. in that humans usually sleep and interact with other people and stuff like that.
That's true.
It seems like you're not doing those things. Are you eating right now?
It's interesting you say that. I tried Soylent for the first time.
You don't want to do that.
Not Soylent Green, but...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a product called Soylent.
What is Soylent?
It's this meal replacement milkshakey kind of thing. You're supposed to drink 5 a day, and it replaces your food. Yeah.
Why would you want to replace your food?
I don't know. I mean, if you're...
You guys have Popeyes where you live. There's no reason to replace your food.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, we also are busy. And when you're busy and you're like, golly, can I just eat and not think about food? I just need body energy. That's all I need.
Things are under duress in your world right now.
They are.
It's all about this series that you're doing. You're not quite to eccentric professor levels yet, but you're kind of getting close, man.
I know, dude. I don't know. So I'm doing this social media manipulation series, and it's weird because the more I learn, the more I realize this is a big deal. And I feel like I'm kind of down the rabbit hole a little bit. And this is the kind of world I'm living in right now. I'm just working on this video, and I'm gathering up all this interview footage I have, and then I get a message from NATO.
Yeah, that can happen from time to time.
Well, I mean, technically, it's Strategic Communications Center of Excellence, which is
well, that's not as cool.
An affiliation. NATO is accredited them, but they work with NATO to figure out like how all the social media is getting gamed.
They called to see what you were up to and how things were going?
They saw the YouTube video. They're like, hey, we saw that video. That's interesting. We want to talk. And then I just, Skyped with a person, and I was like, holy cow, we should video this and put it in my video for Twitter. He's like, yeah, let's do it. They study inauthentic activity, like coordinated inauthentic activity. They study its use militarily. Like, for example, in the Balkans, like up to a few years ago, up to 70% of the internet traffic on Twitter related to those keywords was inauthentic.
Wait, related to what keywords?
NATO in the Balkans.
Oh, so they were just looking at people talking about them and this one region.
Yeah.
And almost everybody was lying?
The term they use is polluted. They're like, yeah, that social media landscape is polluted. And so they have terminology like you and I just use the internet, right?
Oh, wait, what does polluted mean? I mean, for you and I, occasionally we've been able to sniff out malicious stuff that's come my way or your way, and we compare notes on that. But I've never heard the term polluted before. Does that mean like the whole conversation is fake and wrecked and there's nothing to be gained from it?
In the next video that I'm putting up, it's rendering in the other room, there's a map of that area. And it says, okay, well, if it's this color, then 70% or greater seems to be human. If it's this color, then it's, and it's just like a legend, like a weather chart. And it's like, we think this much of the conversation is authentic and this much is inauthentic.
Okay. So, but inauthentic, it doesn't necessarily, I mean, people say bots all the time. These aren't really robots that just use an algorithm to type things that sound like American political speech. They're actually humans, right?
Dude, do you want to go down the rabbit hole? Because we can go down the rabbit hole. I mean, this has been my life for a while.
Yeah, well, I feel like in our last recorded conversation about this, we maybe thought we were going down the rabbit hole.
Oh, dude.
But I think we were more just kind of dusting off the edges of the top of the rabbit hole.
Yeah, we were.
And I'm getting the impression that
talking about rabbits.
You're discovering the whole iceberg underneath.
It's unbelievable, dude.
That's like 9 metaphors that we just mushed together. It
is.
I feel ashamed.
I know.
Yeah, I do. I want to hear what you found. I want to hear what's going on.
Okay, so I mean, for example, so the Internet Research Agency was this this thing in Russia, and it to me it sounds like a building that a bunch of 20-somethings go to work in the morning, and they show up and they have a meeting, like a stand-up. Software engineers know what a stand-up is. It's where everybody just kind of stands up around their cubicle and they talk about what they're doing. And they would have these meetings in the morning, and they're like, okay, cool, how are you going to disrupt American society today? Oh, I don't know. Go over there and talk to Vlad. He's working on the Ukraine segment, and see what he's doing over there. Like,
So basically the exact same thing as TMZ with the exact same set of goals.
pretty much.
Huh. Except they're Russians, and it's called the IRA.
That's interesting. I mean, you're kind of joking, but it's not.
No, I'm not really. Like, that's where I picture a stand-up happening. Remember when they started putting TMZ on television?
Yeah, I do.
And you could see their meetings and their little brainstorming sessions. Like, hey, let's go ruin this person's life. Let's go dig this thing up. And it sounds like the same thing except with Russians.
Well, the interesting it seems to be most of the activity was from the Russians, and there's a big section of it from the Iranians. That's what appears to be going on.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. This is just what the report said.
Really?
Yeah. And so, but the interesting thing is Congress released a report that had 3,000 something Twitter accounts, and you can go to the Wayback Machine. Do you know what the Wayback Machine is?
I do.
Okay, so you can take these Twitter account names and you can go to the Wayback Machine and put these handles in the Wayback Machine, twitter.com/whatever it is.
I'd never thought of using that on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's basically an internet time machine to let you go back and see what was there on any given date. And the further back you get, the more spotty the archiving is. But in recent years, it's pretty thick.
Yeah. So you can
go back and you can find the fake accounts? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. You can go find, the bulk of them. So you can get these Twitter account names, and, a friend of mine and I, we worked together. He put them in a spreadsheet, and he made it where you can just click on any of the names, and it'll go to the Wayback Machine, and it'll tell you if there are any archives there or not. And, it's about, I'd say 10% of them have good data in the Wayback Machine, but those are really crazy. There seems to be 3 types of troll accounts. Number 1 was left-leaning trolls. Number 2 is by far the most dominant, which is the right-leaning kind. And the number 3 was these really freaky local news outlets. And so, for example,
what's the point of that?
Baltimore Online was one of the names, except the O was a 0. And so,
okay.
There's a Twitter account called Baltimore Online. It had tens of thousands of followers. And what they would do is they would go around and they'd find like the crappiest news that would make people feel the crappiest about their lives. Or like, oh man, our community's in shambles. Or, oh well, there was a cop that tased somebody over here. Clearly they don't like, and they would just try to get race relations all riled up and everything. It's kind of dystopian, on some of them, but other ones were more clever. Like what they would do is you'd see 100 tweets and they would be retweeting other stuff, like other people's news and stuff like that. And then every so often there was this slight, the word you used when I first explained it to you was nudge.
Sure.
Yeah, like nudging people in certain directions. And it's strange because it's like boiling a frog. Have you ever heard the metaphor boiling a frog?
No. Explain it.
Have you not really?
No, I have.
Okay.
Yes, I have. I certainly have.
You said it like the way your the way your voice. Dude, I'm really tired. You can't jack with me
I
like
know
that.
you are. I'm sorry. I picture you as having like Bernie Sanders hair right now and like some kind of half-buttoned white doctor's coat and like boiling experiments all in the background.
I'm wearing a T-shirt that I got from
Okay.
Holden Rogers, and the T-shirt says "Doing my best."
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that's dignified.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the modern equivalent of the kitten hang in there poster.
pretty much. So the I don't know. It's interesting to see how they do it. They try to slowly tell jokes that they know people will think pretty funny. And I was looking through the things, and there are funny stuff on. I mean, there's really really funny memes and stuff like that.
So it's definitely not an algorithm. Algorithms still don't know how to write jokes.
These are humans, man. These are humans, and
But dialed humans. For a joke to work, you kind of have to have a mastery of the language and the subtext. I mean, the idea of a joke, right, is it's a feint. You go in one direction and then something unexpected happens, and that's what's funny. So you have to know a culture well enough to know how this line of thought usually would round out to subvert that. It takes sophistication.
can I tell you the only joke I know in another language?
Yep, but right after we do an ad. This episode of No Dumb Questions is brought to you by HelloFresh.
HelloFresh!
I don't know if that's the jingle either, but I like it.
Yeah, I can just tell everybody what it is. It's a meal kit delivery service that sends food to your house with recipe cards, prepackaged ingredients. You have everything you need to make an awesome meal right there at your house, and you can cook a meal in 30 minutes or less, and your family loves it.
Destin, question.
Bring it.
What do you think is the most important thing to me when it comes to ordering a meal online or anywhere?
Meat.
Yeah, 1 and 1A would be meat and that it tastes good.
Yeah, that's true.
I would not go on the internet with you and tell people to get food that doesn't taste good. It tastes really good.
It really does.
Everything we've done makes my mouth happy.
Here's the upshot, if I could just be for realsies for a second. You guys know that this sponsor has been with us for a really long time, and you also know that supporting the sponsor supports the podcast. We are thankful. HelloFresh.com/NDQ80. You can use the promo code NDQ80 at checkout.
And then you get $80 off your first month of HelloFresh. You get to pick what kind of stuff you want to see sent your way. It gets there when it's supposed to get there. It's sealed up the right way, so it arrives at exactly the right temperature, and it's easy as can be to figure out what you need to do to actually cook the thing. You'll learn things about cooking. You will expand your horizons in terms of flavor, and it will not obliterate your wallet.
Look, dude, people just want the promo code because they know it's time to get HelloFresh. They know they've heard us talk about it forever. They know that this particular ad is the one that's like, oh, I guess it's time for steak and sass.
That's right.
So I'm going to go ahead and tell you that it's HelloFresh.com/NDQ80.
Yeah, and then you enter the promo code NDQ80 once again at checkout. We love HelloFresh. Our families love HelloFresh. We've gotten a ton of great feedback about this. We're so grateful for a long-term sponsor like HelloFresh, and we're so grateful to you for supporting sponsors like HelloFresh, who in turn support us. We've got a ton more conversation ahead, so let's get back to that. Okay, I'm a little bit nervous, but go ahead and tell me the only joke you know in a foreign language.
¿Qué le dice un pez a otro pez?
No sé. ¿Qué le dice un pez a otro pez?
Nada.
Porque peces no pueden hablar?
No. So the joke is, what did one fish say to the other fish?
Correct.
And then the answer is nada.
Oh,
which could
nada.
mean nothing or swim.
Oh, wow. Oh, I totally get it.
Yeah, that's the that's the only joke I know in another language.
It was good. It was the kind of joke where I say, I get it, but there isn't laughing.
You say, chiste, hey. Down in Peru, down in Peru at the orphanage, there's a buddy of mine named Rodbin, and he would always, like, he's got this dry sense of humor, and he's really, really funny, and he always says, chiste o no chiste?
That's funny.
It's really funny.
Did you ever see the One Semester of Spanish Love song?
Oh, yes. Those are good.
That's from the glory days of internet, when people just went on internet and were like,
yeah,
I got something funny and I'm going to put it on there. And it was before everybody was mad about everything. Maybe I'm learning because of fake internet accounts. And then everybody would just laugh at it and be like, that was funny. And everybody could agree that was funny.
Yeah.
And then we'd go vote different ways, but we at least all thought that was funny together.
I know.
We don't have that binding us together anymore.
We're at like what, internet 3.0, 4.0?
I didn't know there were points.
I'm making all this up. Basically, we're at war internet's where we're at. That's where we're at, dude.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
No, it
feels like
doesn't
it.
feel
I remember,
like it. We're beyond feeling like it.
It just is?
It just is. I mean, like, there's data. Like, there's graphs. No joke. So,
well, if there are graphs.
Taking you back down the rabbit hole. So, here's how this goes down. Twitter figured out, like, all these people are on their platform with some help from Facebook, I might add. They found all these accounts, and then what do you do when you figure out somebody's manipulating people? Do you instantly shut them down? Do you keep gathering data? What do you do?
What do you mean by manipulate?
Manipulate by trying to make people hate other people. For example, trying to make...
So only that kind of manipulation?
Well...
Because I mean,
Dude, this...
Manipulation's pretty common, right?
Okay, look, dude, I'm about to open up some crazy stuff on you. If you're...
Just now?
So Facebook, for example.
Okay.
It now seems like there was a genocide that happened because of a misinformation campaign that happened on Facebook.
What?
Yeah.
Tell me you mean a metaphorical genocide.
No.
What?
Yeah. Let me see.
How have I not heard of this?
October, New York Times.
I have on my skeptical goggles.
Okay. New York Times, Myanmar Facebook genocide. A genocide incited on Facebook with posts from Myanmar's military. This is serious, dude. We're taking this stuff, this misinformation, weirdness that's happening on the internet, and it's moving into meat space. And so my assessment of all these social media companies, Facebook is the most well-resourced. They have tons of people that work there. Tens of thousands of people work at Facebook. They have seen people try to sway elections using their platforms by buying ads. They've also seen incitement of violence in a very, very real way, particularly here in Myanmar. And so Facebook has done an about face in the last month. They're like, regulate us, please. Have you seen this?
Yeah, and I know you just went there and visited with them, so you're going to have a higher view of them than I do. But that sounds like a way to only get sort of regulated. Like Facebook is in danger of running into serious problems.
In terms of...
It's not attractive to young people anymore. It has become a baby boomer mom and dad website where you get people of that generation riled up, at least in the United States. The brand still has value and strength, but it is not an attractive brand for young people. And that's kind of a death knell of an internet thing. So,
well, it's not trusted.
I don't trust Facebook at all. I don't trust them on anything. They've lied to us. They've misrepresented what they're doing. I'm sure you interacted with great people there, but I mean, this company is pretty low on my list of trusted internet partners. I'm sorry if that's harsh toward people that you like.
Yeah, there's one person in particular that I've met recently that I do like that works there. But, I mean, I'm on record with a video on the internet of not agreeing with Facebook's practices, right? So
it's big of them to give you access. I respect that.
I did respect that. I mean, I made this Facebook freebooting video back in the day, and then I called them like, hey, I think people are manipulating people. And they're like, why don't you come talk about it? And I was like, why don't I come talk about it? So I respect that. That's transparency. You know, that's letting what could potentially seem like a wolf in amongst the sheep. I don't know. That's a bad metaphor. You get the idea.
But I get, okay, beyond the, I believe, flagging brand power of Facebook, I still get why they would call to be regulated, because then it's somebody else's responsibility.
Yeah.
I don't think Mark Zuckerberg really liked his trip to Capitol Hill very much. It certainly didn't accomplish anything. But right now, Facebook's kind of on the hook for this stuff. And you got these two resolutions that passed in the EU. What was it? Articles 11 and 13 in the last couple of weeks here. And I don't fully understand them yet. But this is the stuff that there was all the hubbub about memes being banned.
What's that noise I'm hearing, Matt?
My hyper attractive beard brushing against the microphone.
Oh, okay. It sounds like you're playing Yahtzee. You know, the sound when you like put dice in a cup?
Really?
Yeah.
Just a second. Oh, no, I have a strategy. Let me, hang on a second. I have a thing that I can do. You might like this. Here, just a second. You might like this. Okay,
Beards seem complicated.
There. Yeah, they are. But when it's the only hair that you can grow on your head other than eyebrows, you have to do something. It's a way of feeling dignified.
You know what's so weird about that is I can't grow very big eyebrows.
I can't really get the bushy eyebrow thing going yet either, but I think that comes with age. I think we have to grow into that.
Dude, you realize that if we put all the facial hair from my neck up and all the facial hair from your neck up, we would have a complete man?
I'm glad I could at least contribute.
You'd be responsible for the beard, mustache, and eyebrows, and I would have like the crappy head hair.
You know what? And you can talk manliness all you want, and like, oh, beards are manly. Come on, I just want hair. Like, I'll just go with hair. If I had the option, I would take your silky, smooth 12-year-old face over my grizzly bearded face. If I could just have the awesome hair. My hair was cool, dude. It was good hair back in the day. And then it just stopped being there after a while. And then you just like, all right, and just lean into this and start shaving this thing now. And at least you'll look the same in all your pictures over the course of 15 years. I mean, there are advantages, but...
We've never talked about this.
Yeah. Does it make you uncomfortable?
No, bring it.
Is it troubling? You know what happened? And is it okay if we just kind of pause our descent into the rabbit hole on Twitter for just a minute here?
Yeah, sure. This seems more important.
Here's what happened. Okay, I had like ponytail long hair when I was playing ball in college, and I got ridiculed by the more traditional baseball players for that. And I really liked having hair. It was fun. I did goofy stuff with it and grew it out and everything. And then I went and got a haircut that went awry at some cheapo haircut joint, like one of those like jumbo cuts, or I don't know what they're called. Wanted to save a couple bucks because we were poor, maybe my mid 20s. And so I got a haircut, and the lady nicked something, and we were like, oh, well, let's just go down and make that even. And so she took everything down, and it was fairly short. And I was like, that's weird. I have this like barely noticeable horseshoe shape if I'm in the perfect light. Like, that's probably because of how badly she cut my hair. And then I just grew my hair back out and didn't think about it for years. And then I was sitting on a couch at church after playing basketball, and somebody walked by, a friend, and was like, and they gave me a nice compliment on my game. And then they were like, pretty good for the old guy. I'm like, I'm 29, kind of in peak physical condition right now. And so I didn't know what he meant. I was like, how am I the old guy? Like, I think I'm kind of like right in the middle, right? And he's like, well, your hair. I was like, I don't know what you mean. What about? And everybody there was like, well, obviously you're balding. I was like, I am not. What are you talking about? I just never seen. And so then I went into a bathroom and like cranked around a couple of mirrors and stuff. I was like, what?
Really?
Is that? Oh no. And so then I did the whole thing, man. I was like, I'm too young to be bald. That's dumb. I don't want to do that. And propecia was kind of a big thing at the time. I was like, I'll try it. Sure. Heck, why not? I'm a young man. I want to have hair on my head, right?
What's propecia?
It's a pill that's supposed to help you regrow or keep the hair you have. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I tried it, and I felt so weird.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I don't know, man. I just, like, my body felt weird. My energy levels were kind of up and down and all over the place and unpredictable. I don't remember all the symptoms. I just know I didn't feel like myself. And I thought, I don't know what I'm messing with here. I think bald is better than whatever this could be goofing around with. And that was pretty much it. And then probably like 2 or 3 more years into my very early 30s, I'd still had enough hair, and I didn't like comb over or anything. I just kind of style it and wore it for a while. That was kind of when the little like tuft in front thing was popular in the mid to late 2000s.
Huh.
And so I just did that. And then eventually I was like, now that's weird. It's kind of wants to curl around now a little bit. There's like a little cowlick on the off ramp. I was like, gross. I don't like the way that looks either. It looks like I'm trying to comb over, even though it's just a new cowlick because of hair loss. So forget it. So I just took a pair of clippers out one day, went in the bathroom, took everything off, and came out. And Camilla was like, what are we doing? I was like, well, I'm balding. So I just figured I'd go with it. She was like, all right, great. And fortunately, what I found when I took all of that off was symmetry. And there's no like weird Sam Cassell alien head lemon thing or some horrifying like birthmark or anything. It was just if you're going to be bald, the best you can hope for is basic symmetry and not a lot of birthmarks. And so, hey, I'll take it. And then, I don't know, like 1 or 2 times I'd grow it out for a couple months just to see if maybe I wasn't actually balding. It's like, oh, no, you are. That's hideous. And so basically, I just shaved my head for the last however many years. And every now and then I'll go like just a few weeks where I'm on a trip and I didn't bring clippers and I just wear a hat, whatever. It kind of gets all fuzzy and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the wind will blow and I take my hat off and it's like, oh, I like the way that felt.
Really?
That was fun. I miss wind touching hair and like the sensation that creates on your head.
Really?
But it's just so hideous looking. You got to shave all the stuff off anyway. So yeah, I think that's the number one thing I miss. I think I feel absolutely comfortable in my own skin in terms of how I look with a shaved head. I mean, I don't care.
Yeah, you got the bartender. No, not bartender. The bouncer thing going on.
Well, that stinks though. And maybe that's the one other downside of it is when I had hair, the way people interacted with me has been different since I shaved my head and since I went bald. And where I really notice it is that people act more intimidated of me, just socially or even as I meet them. They are more on guard since I lost my hair than they were before. I just think...
I've never thought about that, but I think when I'm around a person with a shaved head, yeah, there's more of a, oh, well, this guy's, playing the alpha male role here. But
really?
They're not, I've never thought about it, but I think there is a little bit of that now that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of remarks from people. Like either they assume you're in the military or like you have some kind of ideology. It's like, no, just my hair pattern is revolting. It's hideous. It makes women and children recoil in fear. I really need to just shave this. It's not ideologically driven. Please just let me have this one thing.
Dude, I think it looks cool. I think you
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I think it looks real cool.
I appreciate it. It was tough at first, and now I just miss the wind in my hair from time to time. But if the beard gets long enough, it's kind of the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I really wish I could grow a beard. My dad can grow a beard. My understanding is...
Yes, he can.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, it's like a big scruffy.
It works. It makes his head shape kind of unusual. Like it's an odd beard, but I mean it looks good.
Yeah.
It's just
I
don't know. He looks like you, but with an old beard.
I look like a dog with mange when I try to grow facial hair, man. It's awful. I've done it a couple times. Like
moose in shedding season.
Yeah, it's pretty. What, moose shed? I didn't know that.
They molt, kind of. They're kind of brownish black in the height of the season, and then when they ditch their winter fur pelt coat, whatever you call it, it's really patchy and molty, and in the spring they're pretty gross looking animals. So that's how I picture your beard is the point.
Hair is an interesting thing. Have you ever met someone with alopecia?
I have. I've met people with stress-induced alopecia.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Stress-induced alopecia.
Yeah. Saw a guy today who had alopecia at lunch.
Yeah, I spoke with a man that had alopecia, and he said, we just got to that really honest place, and he said eyebrows are very important, and I really want eyebrows back. And I don't understand...
They are important. He's right.
Well, I don't know. I have blonde eyebrows, and my sister does too. And she went down to Colombia. I don't know if I should be talking about this. I'll ask her for permission later. But she went down to Colombia, and she's like, you know what? Screw it. I want eyebrows. And so she started like putting makeup on for eyebrows. And she's like, you have no idea how much more expressions I can make.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say too. Like, think about it. If you take a pen right now and I say, draw a happy face, what are you going to do? No sweat, right? It's
2 eyes and a swoopy up mouth.
Right, in a circle.
Yeah.
If I say draw an angry face, what are you going to do?
Oh, eyebrows pointing down, darting toward the nose.
Exactly what you're going to do.
Interesting.
Exactly what you're going to do. Eyebrows are the fingers of the face. I mean, hands are enormously expressive, and eyebrows in art and expression and cartoons and comics is the same thing. They're the fingers of the face.
Did you just make that up?
You don't. Yeah, I just made that up.
Eyebrows
but
are
it sounded official, right?
Dude, like I haven't slept in 40 hours. and we've been down a rabbit hole with like the future of cyber warfare. Now all I know is you said eyebrows are the fingers of the face. Where are we at? What are we doing?
That's staying. And where we're at is in a place of deep, intimate trust with each other as friends, where I tell you about the feelings of what it's like for an athletic man to go bald and lose that part of his identity. I think it was a worthwhile conversation.
No, I think it's a big deal. And that's a super vulnerable place, isn't it? Did I ever tell you about the time I shaved my head? Surely I've told you this story.
I think so, but I don't know that I've heard it on microphone. I'm interested to hear that version.
Oh yeah, is it different? Am I different on microphone?
I don't know. I'm gonna find out. You're not. You're pretty much you either way.
Yeah, I try to be me.
But
so
sometimes you're a tiny bit selective with what details you leave out, to protect the innocent. So I'm interested.
all right, so in the Bible, the story of is it Elisha and the she bears? You know the story.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Is it
Mauls the
Elisha or Elijah? I always get them confused.
It's Elisha.
Elisha. Okay, so my understanding is the way this goes down is Elisha's walking down the road. He's a prophet of God, and I don't even know what he's doing. He's just walking somewhere. He's on his way to Bethel or something like that. I don't know where he's going.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Anyway, so these kids, it's the weirdest dang story in the Bible. These kids run out of the woods and start yelling at him, Baldy, Baldy, go on, bald man, or something like that.
Yes, go on up, you bald head.
That's it.
That's the insult. Real clever.
He turns around, points, and's like, a curse of the Lord be upon you. And out of nowhere, 2 she-bears come out of the woods and just like maul these kids and like kill them.
I don't think they killed anyone. But yeah, there was a mauling.
What do you mean they didn't kill anyone?
I think it was just a mauling. I don't know that the youngsters were.
Let's have a sword drill right now. Let's go.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. I've got a Bible. Oh, by sword drill, you mean
Google.
Use the computer.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, let me
Elisha
see.
is jeered. 2 Kings 2, 23 through 24. Elisha is jeered. Okay, wait, that's NIV. What version of the Bible would you like me to pull this up in?
Yeah, go NIV. I mean, that's what most people use right now.
From there, Elisha went up to Bethel. Got that right. As he was walking along the road, some boy. How many Jesus bucks do I get for that?
6, and I do keep track. That brings you up to 6.
Do you remember the time you drew me a Jesus buck?
I sure do. It was a really handsome Jesus, too.
All right.
And did you notice how he had very friendly, upward-pointing eyebrows?
I did. From there, Elisha went up to Bethel, and as he was walking along the road, some boys came out of town and jeered him. Get out of here, Baldy, they said. Get out of here, Baldy.
Oh, you don't have to read it.
He turned around, looked at them, and called down a curse on them in the name of the Lord. Then 2 bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the boys.
Mauled.
Best
that was the word,
story
right?
ever. Yes, mauled. Best
it's right up
story ever. So,
that's primetime Bible.
Before I knew you, I had a YouTube channel. It still exists. I don't know the password. It's called The Big Bible Project. And me and a couple of friends, we thought it would be...
You had the Bible Project before the Bible Project had the Bible Project?
Yes, except I had the Big Bible Project.
Whatever.
Yeah. So on YouTube, somewhere, if you look for the Big Bible Project... What me and a couple buddies did is we took like the stupid stories.
I can't believe you're revealing this. I've seen the video. I can't believe you just said that into a microphone. But continue.
I haven't slept for a long time, Matt.
Yep.
I have tried to withhold this, haven't I? Okay.
You have in the past, which is why I wanted you to tell the story, because I wondered if you would disclose the existence of the Big Bible Project, and you are. You already did, and it's binding. Continue. What happened?
Okay, so anyway, so we decided we're gonna be stupid and make a video. This is the way I learned how to edit, is making stupid videos like this. We also made another channel called Godzilla for Hire. Godzilla for Hire exists. It's awful, but I mean, these are things that, you're goofing around trying to learn how to edit. So,
and it was back in the day. It was back in the earlier incarnation of the internet, where if you had a funny idea, you just filmed it and whatever, you put it on the internet and people have a laugh.
Yeah, exactly. And it's in the same caliber as, I called my YouTube channel Penny Whistle Productions back then. So, how to light a bonfire with rockets kind of stuff. Anyway, how far we've come now that I think about it. Wow. How to light a bonfire with rockets. Mr. Sandlin, this is NATO. We were...
I was going to say.
Okay, so anyway.
Okay, that's the perfect segue back into it, but I want to hear what happened with your shaved head.
Yeah, so anyway, we decided that this is just too funny of a story, and you never hear anybody talking about this. You never hear the old blue-haired ladies talking about the time. Oh, it's just like when Elisha called down the curse.
Because what do you do with that?
And the she-bears mauled the 42 children.
That's what they sound like when they talk about the Bible?
Well, yes. Here's your casserole. I don't know. So
I'd take blue hair over no hair.
long story short, so we decided we're going to make this video. I had a friend that his dad had killed a bear out hunting. I don't know. We had a bear, and we needed
people who've killed
we
bears.
needed a bald person. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm doing it.
You didn't know me.
I'm doing it. Heck yeah, I'm doing it. And so what we did is I just went out on the front porch and my buddy just shaved my head. But he did the, the friar cut, he just shaved the top of
the tonsure.
What's it called?
A tonsure. Tonsure. Tonsure.
Is it like Martin Luther had that, right?
Yeah, that's the monk haircut.
Okay, explain it to me. What's up with the monk haircut?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Why do they do that?
I have no idea. Maybe it was some kind of vague allusion to the New Testament prohibition on men praying with their heads covered.
Whatever, we did it.
Maybe that was it?
We did it.
I don't know.
Straight razor,
Good
the
for
whole
you.
bit. And so I had like normal hair. You've seen my hair. I look like a goofy duster or something. And so I had that around the edges of my hair, and I just had it bald up top. And so we made Elisha and the She-Bears the worst thing ever, but it's hilarious. And so we made that. But after we made that, I still didn't have hair on top of my head. I had no hair.
No, it's weird. It doesn't come back when you turn off the camera.
I know. It was gone. And so I asked my wife, I was like, will you please go on a date with me? She's like, what?
Wait, your girlfriend at the time who became your wife, or you were married when you made these decisions?
We were married.
Wow.
Yeah, we were married. And so I went to the thrift store and I bought the stupidest looking sweater I could find. And I was like, would you please go on a date with me? And so we went here in Huntsville to Bridge Street. We went on a date. We went to the movies and we went and got a bite to eat. And she just like could not look at me. She's like, I wore it, or I didn't wear it. I just went to work like that for a couple of days. And I was just sitting in there like writing a super intense email, and I was thinking really hard. And one of my buddies, Coop, he walks to the door and he's sitting in the door in my office and he goes, dude, I was like, what, man? He's like, I feel like I need to help you. Can I help you? Is there anything you need? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know. I just feel really bad for you right now. I was like, I don't know. So anyway, on the date, I look like a really old dude. My wife's, I am very pretty. And so we're just going along and everybody's looking at me strange, except for this one drunk guy. I still remember he was eating outside on a patio. He lifts a beer in the air. He goes, yeah, buddy, you lose a bet, you go through with it. Woo! And I was like, that guy is awesome.
He is awesome.
He's awesome. So anyway.
He understood the exercise. Everybody else was just nervous and uncomfortable. So what was that like growing back in? How long did that take?
I cut it all off. There's...
Okay, that's what you do.
Yeah, that's what you do. There's multiple stages. When you're trying to grow your hair back in, and you're not... There's this weird... I don't know. It's like an adolescent phase. You're not really a baby anymore, like the short hair, and you're not really an adult where you can do anything with the hair. So there's this weird in between awkward phase. That's the hardest phase to get through because I don't particularly have a great head shape. My dad always said if we were ever to get in like a bar fight, he goes, Destin, here's the deal. Sandlin's got square heads. So if you're ever going to headbutt somebody, you turn your head 45 degrees and you hit them with the corner of your head right here. Dude, I should really go to sleep. We should not be recording right now. I'm saying way too much stuff.
This is all binding. It stays. I'll edit this episode. Don't worry about it.
I just started sweating when I realized what was coming out of my mouth.
You had a physiological negative reaction to your own conversational decisions.
You realize I haven't slept. I pulled 2 all-nighters back to back. I had 4 hours of sleep on Saturday morning. 5 hours?
Wow.
Yeah, dude. It's been a while since I've been here.
And yet here you are still with us. My daughter, about 3 weeks ago, was like, I want to see you with hair, Dad. I've never seen you with hair. Will you grow it back? I'm like, well, I can't really. Well, she's like, this part grows. Because like the only thing that doesn't grow is just that top little patch. Everything else is like it's always been.
Dude, could you
So
do
I was
a
like, all right,
skullet?
kiddo.
Can you do a skullet?
Oh, could I ever? Oh, dude, that would be a flowing, gorgeous cascade of perfection because it's everything but the top. The rest is just magnificent.
Dude, you would look like a centaur.
I think I would. I mean, I've been working out. I've been feeling really good. I think I could look very centaur-like, and my chest hair game is not bad.
No, it's
I think
not.
I could pull it off.
It's not.
Thanks for saying that.
Yeah, it's really not.
So I grew it out for 3 weeks, and I just wore a hat a lot. Kind of got see what I could get away with, and then I had to go and be on camera with a hat off in a church. So I finally had to shave it a couple days ago, and so I go to cut this off. And hey, what color would you guess that my hair is, or was?
I'd say sandy, light brown to blonde.
Okay. Yeah, very blonde growing up. And my beard was super blonde early on. Now, it's a lot darker now, but I was very, very blonde as a kid. So, I don't know, I just haven't had hair that you could actually look at and detect a color in for ages. Because I shave it a couple times a week, when looking scruffy. I shaved this off into the sink the other day, and it's like almost black.
Really?
It is so dark. How did that happen? Like my hair changed color. Just, add insult to injury. Like one more thing to strike at your identity. You don't have hair anymore, but if you decide to grow out the little paltry bits that you can, now it's a totally different color. Who am I? I don't even know anymore. I don't even know.
What color would you guess my beard is when I grow it out?
Disappointing.
Yes. It's red.
No, it is not.
It is too. It's red. I have brown hair on the top of my head, or it's like sandy, and then I have a red mustache, red beard.
Really?
Yeah, not like red, but it's legitimately red. It's weird.
No, I would not have guessed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ed Sheeran beard.
Where are we in this conversation? What are we doing?
No problem. We just covered the hair thing, and it was great. And I'm not even going to send you the video that I have queued up about this new menshairtogo.com thing where they shave your whole, they do a tonsure haircut and then they stick actual hair on there and it lasts for like a year.
What?
And you just have like hair.
Can I ask a real question? Yeah. Not that we're not.
I'd like that.
I saw a meme. Don't know if this is real or not, because misinformation. Okay. It said the greatest comeback in NBA history is LeBron James'
LeBron's hairline.
Can you?
I saw where that was going.
Can you explain that to me? Like, was that hair implants or?
The other thing that you'll see is the LeBron James and Michael Scott comparisons, because Michael Scott was bald in season 1 of The Office, like super thin, and I don't know what Steve Carell got done, but his hair quit being thinned out after that when the show caught on. LeBron did the same thing. He was full off ramp, like he was as bald as me. And then he just cheated. I don't know what he did, implants or surgery or something. You can't medicate your way back from the level of baldness LeBron was bald. So it's definitely something surgical. And, given the nature of his hair and the shortness of his hair, I'm sure he didn't do the glue on real hair technique that people are doing now. It's like $1,000 or $1,500 and they just paste a fresh head of hair on your head and it works for like a year. So I think he must have done like the needle implant thing. Have you seen that? Like what's that called? Bosley or Hair Club for Men, where they actually take hair from somewhere else, like somewhere where you got a big cluster of hair and they move it to the parts that aren't working. And then essentially they fix the hair follicles. They replace dead follicles with living follicles that they transplant from elsewhere. And then it legitimately grows.
Do they kind of take plugs out? Like when you are planting tulips and you have a bulb. I don't know. It's a bulb planter. You kind of take a plug out of the dirt and then you put a bulb in there. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. In fact, I think that's even what they call it.
Bulbs?
No, plugs.
Plugs.
I mean, I think that's what they do.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know for sure because obviously I haven't had that done. You've seen my head. But yeah, I think that has to be what Steve Carell and LeBron James and guys like that get done.
What I find fascinating about that is, think about what hair is. It's keratin, right? And so you have you have this specific chemical that is manufactured just under the skin at a certain place on the body. And so, like, that, how does that work? Does that chemical go to that location at the follicle? Or what is the... I don't know. I've always wondered about hair follicles. Have you ever pulled, like, one of your beard hairs out and you...
Oh, yeah.
So I've sectioned mine. I've done that, and then I've kind of cross-sectioned it and then put it under a microscope and looked at it. It's fascinating. But I don't understand how that works. I don't understand what creates... what's the word I'm looking for? It's not the origin or the origination. It's the moment that it starts to be formed. God, there's a really good name for that.
I don't know. Genesis?
No.
That seems like a really cool sounding official word.
Yeah. I don't know.
What I know is that, like, there's a chemical that every bald guy can tell you. I mean, we're not chemists, but we know it by heart. Dihydrotestosterone.
Yeah.
DHT.
Yeah.
It's some either byproduct of testosterone or it's testosterone itself. And so basically bald dudes overproduce testosterone in the wrong way or in the wrong place. And that is what just gradually kills those hair follicles. So it's not like it just stops working one day. It just gradually atrophies and contracts down to a point where it just can't birth quality hair. And so there's still hair in most of those follicles. They're just pathetic, little tiny weaselly looking things. It doesn't do you any good.
Really?
Yep, it's a chemical thing.
But it's a localized chemical, so you can't suppress it.
There's the topicals all claim that that's what they do, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm very bald, so clearly I have no experience with making any of this work.
You know what's really interesting to me? When we're talking about hair on top of your head, like the chemicals in one specific spot of your body. Think about your body as one big system of systems. And what I mean by that is, like, a cell itself is a system, right? And within the cell, there are other systems. You know, there's different organelles and things like that. And so as you scale up, you get these more complex systems, but they're made of these subunits. How does your body know to get a certain chemical to your foot, for example? How does your body know what to do with how do these sub-organelles communicate on the macro level? Does that make sense?
It does. And I think the first time I asked that question is when I was a kid and I took, ibuprofen or aspirin. I remember asking my dad, how does it know where to go?
Right.
My body's a big thing. How does it know which pain to stop? And I guess I still don't totally know the answer to that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask.
Yeah, I've often thought, like, I don't know, I'm in a really weird thinky place, but I've often felt sad knowing that I'm not going to live long enough to go study the medical profession, like become a doctor.
Yeah.
I've been sad knowing that, oh man, like I chose engineering and rockets early on and that's my thing.
Yes.
And I can't, I'm probably not going to live long enough to go be a doctor because I'm really interested in that as well.
We might not be smart enough to be Renaissance men, but in the sense of the word that you seem to like everything, you are a Renaissance man. And I don't understand most things, but I like most things.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything is interesting to me.
Me too.
I like playing music and I like painting and drawing. I like film. I like everything, man. I like your subject matter. I'm never bored when we come on here or just, with windshield time, talk about things that are way over my head, but you're patient and you explain it because I want to know. Everything is interesting and you just have this tiny little lifetime. I spent a week last week putting together the most robust bibliography on Pontius Pilate that I could possibly assemble. Primary, secondary sources, historiography, that is what people have done with Pontius Pilate throughout history, what Pontius Pilate studies have been like. And I mean, dawn to dusk, late into the night, after Camilla's long since asleep, I'm laying there scrolling through links on my phone, reading and reading and reading. I ordered in all the books, everything I could find on this question that is relatively insignificant. And about day 5, this sadness started to set in as I realized, hey, I just have this little tiny window of life and I want to know everything at this level. And I just don't get to. That's why you got to have other people do work and trust their work, I guess.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel that same. I don't know if sadness is the word. It's almost like a pre-regret. I don't know. It's like I don't know.
Yeah. No, the pre-regret, that's not bad. Because you're not going to redirect your life to do all of these things. You can't. You'd become schizophrenic. But you can't help but be curious about what is down at the end of that path,
I do.
I mean, really, the emotion that you're feeling is that Road Not Taken by Robert Frost.
Mm-hmm. And sorry, I could not travel both.
Yeah, everybody thinks that poem is like this happy poem about like, I picked this one.
No.
And that has made all the difference.
Can you quote it?
I think it looks like a guy.
Let's see. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel.
Yeah.
Both?
I can't quote it.
So I think I got the first line in the last 2. My little horse thought it queer that something near.
No, that's Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening.
Oh, is it? Robert Frost,
the horse.
The Road Not Taken.
Oh, you're pulling it up?
Yeah, well,
All
let's
right,
just do this.
Okay, and got it. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. You want the next stanza?
Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. I'm not doing a good job here.
You're doing great. And both that morning equally lay, in the leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back.
I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. The difference.
Everybody thinks this is this very happy poem, and I'm not sure it is. I think it's about whatever you pick, you will regret what you didn't. I mean, if you're someone who is wired to pause at that intersection and think about the implications of what you're about to do, you're someone who's going to think deeply enough in the future that you will look back on that intersection and revisit that decision and all of those subsequent similar decisions and consider everything that could have been, the whole spider web of what your life could have looked like, while still appreciating what your life looked like. It's not fully regret, to your point before we got into the poem. It's not fully regret. It's not fully pre-regret. It's just the, I don't know, the road not taken emotion. The acknowledgement that you could have been a zillion things, but ultimately you could only be one.
But I think there's a super important line in the poem, the next to last line. I took the one less traveled by.
What does it mean?
He's looking around and he didn't go with the flow. He didn't do the thing that everybody else was doing. I mean, this is kind of a, I don't know, Robert Frost was a poem writer.
or like a poet, for example? Just tussle that Bernie Sanders hair a little bit more.
Do you know what
He's a poemizer.
Golly. Wow. It's really interesting to be able to analyze my own brain knowing it's not functioning well.
I think you're doing well enough. If that's all you missed,
he's
you're
a
okay.
poem writer. Let me ask you a question. So you recently got a boost on your channel. I don't know if you've noticed this.
I did notice it. Yeah. Things feel different.
And it was after the Protestant, what did you call it? A Protestant visits a Greek Orthodox?
Learns about Greek Orthodoxy. Yeah, a Protestant learns about Greek Orthodoxy.
Yeah. I just wanted to tell you why I think that's doing so good.
I'm all kinds of curious.
So the thumbnail on that video has you interacting with this guy, and you're like pointing, or he's pointing or something. No, he's pointing, and you're looking at him, and you're both smiling.
Yeah.
And So it just looks like an interaction between two people, and they're both smiling. So I don't know what's going on, but it looks good. But the fact that the title says something along the lines of two guys meet and they're different, and they seem to be smiling, I think that's why the thumbnail works.
Interesting.
And then, of course, the video is the same thing, right? The video is you going in and talking to, was his name Chris? Was that his name?
Yeah, Father Chris Margaritis at the Denver Assumption Cathedral.
He just let you come in there and do that? You just call him, or how?
I've been wanting to do this series for a while, and I knew that getting the first person to say yes would be the hardest thing, because you don't know who I am. I'm going to show up at your church. People take that stuff pretty personally. I'm an outsider. I don't fully understand your tradition, and I'm there to ask questions. If somebody called you from the internet and they're like, I want to make a video from a different religious perspective about your religious thing, what would you expect they wanted to do?
Oh, it's a hit piece, no doubt.
It's a hit piece. Of course.
Yeah.
Here's why I'm right and you're bad. And
Right.
I genuinely have no interest in being the guy who goes to other people's churches and tells them why I think they're wrong. I genuinely want to understand this stuff better. And getting him to take a flyer on me and give me 4 or 5 hours of his time, which he did, was a huge risk on his part. But I think it's been really good for everybody. And it was a great conversation. And not combative at all. We just had fun. We disagreed about things, agreed about some other things, but it just didn't matter. It's ideas, right? It's not people, it's ideas. You're breaking down ideas together. And he was great at that.
Yeah, but I think what's so interesting about this whole concept is, Christianity is fractured.
Sure.
And it's fractured at many different points along the way. It's I don't know, it's like a tree branch, right? And so you can trace it all the way back to the beginning of our religion, and then at some point there were changes and kinks along the way. And I think what's interesting about what you're doing is it's like you're one of the branches over here, and you're like bending over to the other place and making a connection with a branch on the other side of whatever, and you're comparing notes and seeing how things are different, and that's neat. So it's almost like you can see how different denominations changed and evolved along the way just by one little friendly meeting with a person. So,
that's been my experience so far, man. I've done 4 of these now. Only one is published as of this conversation, but I've done one at an Anglican church and kind of their sister denomination, the Episcopal Church. There's some history and disagreement between the two. And then this week, I did one at the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Salt Lake City, which was amazing.
that's a big deal, dude. I mean, like, I don't think you can even say denominations there. Like, they're two very different things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, how did that go?
The guy was unbelievable. Father Diaz was the rector, the priest overseeing, and this is the cathedral that is in charge of the Diocese of Salt Lake City. I mean, it's an incredible place. I mean, this church rivals almost anything I've seen in Rome, other than St. Peter's itself and St. John's Lateran, which is where
in terms of
the Pope
architecture and stuff.
Yeah, and scale and grandeur. I mean, it's not nearly to that size, and those two are just, I mean, they're just exceptional. They're on a global scale for a reason. But this church was amazing, and he walked me through there and explained every little bit of art and color choice and where it came from and what it means theologically, and whether I agreed or not with the underpinnings behind it is irrelevant. Just to see the cohesiveness of this ideology, though it may not be my ideology, was really encouraging. And I'm finding that as I talk to these people, I'm seeing that pattern. Everything is cohesive within their set of assumptions. What they're doing makes sense within their set of assumptions, even if I don't share all of the same assumptions. So it causes, you just can't look at people anymore when you know that stuff and be like, well, you're an idiot. Well, no, you just have a different set of foundational assumptions. You're going to arrive at some different logical conclusions. And this guy, they've all been brilliant. Everybody I've met with, I've been the dumbest guy in the room for all of these conversations, and that's right where I want to be. Let the audience learn with me. It's been cool.
Did you get to fly the drone inside?
We did. We flew the drone in the church. I didn't fly it. I didn't have the nerve.
What?
Yep.
What?
Nate flew
Really?
it in the cathedral. Yeah. And I mean, the rector was right there with us. He was a little nervous.
What kind of drone was it? Was this like a DJI like Maverick or Mavic? What are they called?
No, it was one of the fancy Phantoms, like whatever the real high-end Phantom. I think it was that one. So we shot the whole thing in 4K, and obviously they don't have any drone footage of their church, and the ceilings are enormously high. So I mean, the drone shots are awesome. I mean, they're
You're going to turn it over to them, right?
We're
Let
giving
him use it.
Everything, all the raw footage. This is an American a Gothic revival style church. So it looks a little bit like Notre Dame, and in Paris, complete with gargoyles on the outside. So we flew the drone up and got like right in the face of the gargoyles that are 3 or 4 stories up in the sky, and it was pretty cool, man. But this building is over 100 years old, and it's all decorated with 2 very noticeable themes. One is French Catholicism in terms of color scheme and which saints they picked out, like, De Paul and Joan of Arc, like, people that the French people would be fans of. But then the other motif throughout is Native American, Aztec, Intermountain West, Native American, with Native American patterns. The Stations of the Cross, they portray Jesus as an Aztec man. It's a fascinating building. Yeah.
So I hear you talking a lot about the building and the art and the iconography and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but frankly, that's in my set of assumptions. Like, the building doesn't really matter.
Oh, you sound like a Protestant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how was that different? How was the people church different?
Yeah, that's where it gets, I don't know, the building and the people, they're a lot more linked than, say, our building at church and the people. We had a little bit of money, not a lot, and so we paid someone who makes metal buildings to come and put up a metal building. It was almost entirely, all of our decisions were almost entirely economic.
But
all of the decisions here are very theological in nature, and they're reflective of the kind of person who comes to the church and how they worship.
Let me ask you this, though. Like, how do you... So you're Protestant, and you're rolling up into a Catholic church to speak to a Catholic priest about what Catholics believe.
Yeah.
Like, there've been like military conflicts that this stuff was they try to sort that out, right? My understanding
at least
is in
in
Ireland.
name.
Yeah. So
yeah, Ireland, the 30 Years' War. Yeah.
So how are you planning on making a video? What are you going to call it? A Protestant learns about Catholicism?
Roman Catholicism, yeah.
Roman Catholicism. So you're going to make that video, and you're going to talk about all this stuff, right? Like the...
Yeah, sure. Like all this stuff. I mean, I think what people are interested in is, what do you all think? And especially, what do you all think about the stuff that we only hear about in rumors and whispers that we think different? So all outsiders to Roman Catholicism have at least some different assumptions than Roman Catholics about how you go to heaven and exactly how God works and how the Bible works and how important it is or isn't, and why Rome. Like, what do you look at in the Bible to say, like, wherever Peter goes and happens to die, like, that person now is in charge of things? Like, these are the questions outsiders would have. And so the way we're doing it is we always do a walkthrough first, a walk and talk, run a couple cameras, and I just walk around like an infant. And I'm like, what's that thing? What's the shiny thing? What does that mean? What are those words? And we took probably 2-3 hours of him just taking me through every single detail of the church and answering all of my questions very patiently. Well, at that point, we like each other, and I know he's not trying to blow me up, and he knows I'm not trying to blow him up. And then at that point, we sit down and we actually set up an interview, 2 chairs in the sanctuary area or whatever. And then it's just natural, obvious conversation for me to ask about the things that we both know we don't see the same way. And this guy was just masterful in graciously explaining it without feeling like he needed to correct me. And certainly I'm not there to correct him. And this is super fruitful when you have all that time up front to earn a little bit of trust. So yeah, we got into all of it and it was super friendly and good.
That's awesome, dude. I'm looking forward to it.
I think this one's going to be really, really fun. I've never finished filming any of the videos I've done on my channel ever and felt as excited as I did coming out of that Catholic church.
So when does that video come out?
It's going to be a while in editing. We tried hard to make it look good, and it's a lot of content. I mean, I think you could publish, honestly, most of it. I think it could be a 3-hour video and people would like it. But I'm going to go for more like 30 minutes. So
here's the deal on this, and I think this is hyper important. Like this, if I'm a Roman Catholic, this video, you know, it's going to symbolize what I think Protestants will think about my faith, right? And so you have to get that right. Like, what if this guy that you interviewed thinks something crazy that no other Roman Catholic thinks? So you've got to fact check this, and you know, because this could be,
yeah,
and you know what I mean.
Almost everything he said lines up with what I know and what I've read and what I've been taught and what I went to school for. There were a few things though that he said that kind of surprised me, and not because they were appalling or shocking. It's just not the answer I expected. And so I think you're right. I think I need to go, and I would hate to misrepresent somebody else's church and screw that up and take all of the good and cutting through the noise and cutting through the tribal divisions that could come out of a video like that, and have people get hung up on like, oh, he said that one phrase and it's actually like this, and you're trying to trick people and make us look bad, and when that's like the exact opposite of my intention.
Yeah, but you're good at that. Like, you're good at connecting people that don't like to be connected. So I think, I don't know, you're an academic. You know how to dig in and do like legit scholarly research. My point is, I know you always try to get the stuff right on 10-Minute Bible Hour, but I think what you're doing now is next level stuff. Like, this is not the correct metaphor, but it's not like the big Bible Project stuff Destin used to make to like the platform manipulation stuff I'm trying to make now. I guess I am taking myself more seriously, if I'm honest now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think what you're doing, like, this is next level interneting, and it is a video that millions of people will want to watch. So, I don't know, just general. I can't tell if I'm trying to be encouraging or if this is a word of warning. Maybe it's a little of both.
What you sound like is like our conversations when the mics are off. Like, this is how we talk to each other. We're making videos because we like doing it and we care about the stuff, but you and I are trying to be good actors. It's possible that we're misguided, but I think the stuff that I've done wrong on the internet, or that I'd like a mulligan on, hasn't been out of malice. If I screw stuff up, usually it's because I'm an idiot and I just got it wrong and would like a mulligan on that. But we're trying to be redemptive, right? Is that pompous to imagine that we could be redemptive? I hope not. I want to make things better.
I think it's possible to try to be redemptive and just kind of go to this feel-goodism place. Like, that's where the whole, you know, that we've been watching that series on prosperity gospel. I think that's what that stuff is. Like, you know, oh, dude, please do the voice. Oh my gosh, please do the voice.
I don't know what voice you're referencing right now, Brother Destin. But what I do know is that if you are on difficult times, the Lord sees that. The Lord sees that. That is not his intention for you, brother. That is not his intention for you at this time. What he wants for you is you to experience the joy of abject wealth. He wants for you to experience the joy of not heavenly riches far, far away in some other time. He wants for you to experience the joy of having more stuff than your neighbors.
That's
he wants
creepy.
you to experience. Is it too good?
It's
is that
too good.
Much?
Have you like watched that guy Joel Osteen and practiced that?
No, I don't even know that. That's more of just generic prosperity gospel guy. Like, that's church swindler voice. I don't know that it's necessarily Joel Osteen.
Let me
trying to pick a fight with him.
I'm going to go
disagree with him about most things.
Maybe this is like sleep deprivation brain working here.
I hope all of this has been, but it's been delightful.
But let me just put a big old, let me tie all this stuff in a knot right now. We started with misinformation and the stuff that I'm seeing, okay? Now, we've got the term they're using is trolls, but I would call them cyber soldiers. You got these people from other countries that are deliberately muddying the waters for self-gain. Like they're trying to spread misinformation, but they're doing it in a clever way. They're adding all of this truth, like 100 tweets of things that are true, and then they'll just do this major pivot, and they'll get one thing really, really wrong.
The nudge.
And the whole point of the nudge is to change people's minds so that you can take advantage of them. I see the same thing in these jackwagon TV pastors. They'll say a bunch of stuff that sounds good, and maybe they even open a Bible and point to some words on a page and they read a thing, and they'll do that over and over and over, and then 15 minutes into whatever they're doing, they'll just say some crazy crap, dude. And
tell me about it.
It's always interesting that the crazy crap they're saying always tends to lead to money in their pockets or additional power or something like that. Like, that is nuts, dude. So I very much think that I'll just say it, Joel Osteen, dude's like, pastor of the biggest church in the country or something like that?
Yeah, it is.
And the stuff that he is saying on stage, at least, look, let's be honest, the cherry-picked quotes that I've read.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're not a podcast subscriber.
No, I'm not. But from what I can tell, it is like exactly the opposite of what Jesus would have done and what Jesus said. And so they're not unlike, that whole method is not unlike the Russian troll method, right? You say a bunch of truth,
stuff that people want to hear.
You play on emotions. Mm-hmm. One of them maybe is playing on negative emotions, and the other might be playing on positive emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this little twist and that nudge that you don't know about, and you're not you can't perceive it because you're too excited with your emotions. And then you're done. You're taken. It's fait accompli, or fait accompli.
That was way better. Way better than last try. I still don't know, but that sounded more like what all the people on the internet told us it was supposed to sound like.
I think this is a really good way of looking at it. So, like, how do you fight that? And the way you fight that is what we're talking about you doing with this video that you're creating right now, or what I'm doing in the other room. I've got stacks of papers of, data that I've been reading.
Tribalism is killing us. It's wrecking everything. It's ruining jokes on the internet. It's making it so that you can only have a certain group of friends. It's stifling speech and creativity and freedom and honesty. It makes us imagine that our tribe should win out and subjugate and control other tribes. It's gross. It makes us, you can only have friends who are just like you with all of the same intersectionalities. And I feel like what we have are malicious actors on the other side of the equation who are better resourced and have the advantage of the element of surprise, who are trying to do the exact opposite, to create tribes where there shouldn't even be one, create unnecessary tribes, create division, and to do it by making people on the internet feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. Like, here's somebody who finally gets me. They post the right memes, they tweet the right stuff. That makes me feel good. But then these actors all seem to follow this pattern of getting to a place where the nudge happens and they start making proclamations, boundary proclamations about the tribe. Well, we do this. Well, we don't do that. Well, this is how we think. This is how we vote. Insiders good, outsiders bad. We do this. They are like that.
Us, them.
Just that simple, those two words. How much of this ugliness and division and tribalism that admittedly serves some political purposes for the two big tribes in our country, but how much of this tribalism is completely manufactured as just almost an effort to open the Pandora's box of horribleness toward people who aren't like you. And frankly, that Pandora's box, when I grew up, it was closed. Nobody was racist. Like, who the heck is racist? What a weird, backwards thing to do. I mean, all my teachers said we don't view people that way. My church said you don't view people that way. You just love everybody. You be decent to people and you evaluate them based on the substance and content of their character. It was like Martin Luther King Jr. had won the day, at least where I grew up when I was a kid. And there were people from all over the political spectrum where I grew up as a kid, but you just weren't mean to people because they were men or women or because they looked different or were from a different part of the world. It felt like it was kind of whipped.
Same
and right
here.
now it feels like it's not whipped. And I'm kind of feeling like, what the hell? Like, why, if we're getting better and we're more advanced and we have more science and everything's getting better, then why does it seem like that Pandora's box has been pried open? I want it closed forever. And maybe what you're getting into, Destin Sandlin, is an explanation for why that counterintuitively feels like it's moving in the wrong direction.
I can't believe that all of it is attributed to these people who are trying to make it happen. I just don't think they're that powerful. I think they want us to think they're that powerful. But I don't think these foreign governments can truly wreck U.S. society. I don't know. I think we can devour ourselves from within. But I'm with you, dude.
They made a genocide happen in, what'd you say?
Myanmar.
Once the ball gets rolling of my tribe is the only tribe that's right, once we tacitly admit to each other that if our tribe ever gets enough power, we will crush you. And if your tribe ever gets enough power, I know you will crush us. Once we agree to that set of ground rules with each other, it can spiral toward ugliness very quickly.
Dude,
I think they can hurt us.
You need to look at this list of Twitter accounts released by Congress, and you need to go to the Wayback Machine, and you need to look at what they are.
I will.
Do
you have it right there in front of you?
I can.
Give me some of the most pedestrian sounding names. Give me the most believable names, account names that you see on the list.
So the most effective one, the one that Donald Trump retweeted or he responded to, was 10_GOP. And that was an account masquerading as a Tennessee Republican Party account. It had over 115,000 followers, or ish.
150. How many Twitter followers do you have? Do you have that many?
200K.
200K. Okay, I've got 35 maybe. So for me, 115,000 is insanely influential.
Yeah, it's a big number.
So let's put it this way. For all you've done on the internet, for all the things you have your hands in, they had over half of the following on Twitter for doing nothing.
Well, I mean, there's a thing happening here called meta manipulation. So they're making accounts look bigger than they are by using sleeper accounts to amplify them.
Sure, but whatever that number is in people's brains when they see it, well, I mean, would the president have responded that way if whoever said that had 8 followers?
Exactly, and that's a point I made in the video. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
And so what happens is they use this meta manipulation where they amplify it with these fake accounts, and then once it gets above the signal to noise ratio, or it gets a significant signal to noise ratio, at that point actual humans start following it and they start really retweeting stuff in earnest. So it's really interesting. But what's super interesting is the names of the accounts that these people created. Here's one, anti-racist. That's the name of the account. They framed it in such a way that you have a tinfoil hat on if you think that these trolls are real.
Yes.
And that is genius.
Yes.
That's next level social intelligence.
Yep.
And I mean, you're smart. You could figure that out because you're brilliant socially. But I don't know many people who could understand that sleight of hand.
I mean, listen to what we're talking about. Okay, we're grown men with kids. And we both have jobs and things that we do. And here we are at whatever it is at night talking about Surf Ninja 287 on the internet and who said what and then who said what to the other person and then who said what back. And we don't know. And isn't that enough of a win in general for what the inauthentic crowd is trying to accomplish?
Yep.
Just make it so that trust is obliterated. so that we all just become embittered, crusty old jerks, so that we always have the fallback. If we don't like somebody's opinion, we can just bot. Yeah, it's just a bot. Well, maybe this person is. It seems like there's good evidence of that, but maybe they're not. I don't know. But look at what it's done even to your brain and my brain as it introduces this inauthenticity, this manipulation into the equation. It takes the whole conversation out of good faith and dealing in the realm of actual ideas and what was said and what wasn't said, and playing the tennis game of ideas, and turns it into some impossible to know what was real and what wasn't game, where again you get out the grappling gun and just fire garbage against the wall round after round after round. I mean, this is the BS asymmetry principle on an exponential level, isn't it?
But think about this, Whitman. The internet that you were using to try to know things about Pontius Pilate is the same internet where this stuff is happening.
Kind of. There's not much overlap between the internet where I go to get things about that and the internet where this stuff is happening. Culturally, there's not much. Technically, it is.
If I had to guess, I would say...
Okay.
When it comes to sources on the internet about facts about Pontius Pilate, I would say you probably found something, and then you found a bunch of other sources that repeated the thing it found somewhere else.
Yeah, I look for those patterns. I find that really interesting as a historian. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So,
but almost all of that was offline because of the nature of studying something that old.
But that's the thing, dude. Our history, my history that I'm writing right now with my family is not offline. I don't have a big book that I'm writing stuff down. I have things that I'm putting on blog posts, and I'm putting pictures up on Instagram. I mean, the history that you and I are writing right now is completely suspect because, you know, we had this conversation with Steve the other day. How do you know things? What's historical proof and what is scientific proof? They're different things. And so what we're doing right now is we're undermining historical proof that's being written right now in our day and age.
Well, and we're changing the ground rules of how history and how all of this, how knowledge works. It's an epistemology question. How do you know? And this was the question that Plato and his prize student Aristotle wrestled with 2,400-ish years ago. And here we are still wrestling with the question of how do we know? And we talked about 1984, the Orwell book, last episode or the episode before, I don't remember. But one of the things that Winston, the main character in that book, who works in, I don't remember what they call it, the Ministry of Truth, where they lie about everything. One of the things that is his job to do is to just simply change facts from history. And early on, I don't remember exactly how it goes, they just change a fact about sugar rations, that there's going to be a decrease in sugar rations. And then they decrease it and say, the glorious Central Redistribution Office is giving us more sugar than before, when it's the exact opposite of the truth. And they just scrubbed everything that was a reference to the old truth and replaced it with new truth. And they could do that because they controlled the means of communication. This is a little different than that, in that I don't think there's a central planning, single diabolical evil mustache type character making all of this happen. But it is the same principle, except instead of just replacing truth with new truth, you just obfuscate all truth so much that nothing is true. And when nothing is true, the only inevitable result is tribalism. If nothing is true, there's no point in engaging with people in another tribe. The only thing I can do to find security and a sense of truth and a sense of honesty is by getting with other people who embrace the same list of truths with me and demonizing the people who aren't a part of our team. This is diabolical.
You know what I think is happening right now? I think we are exiting the dark ages of journalism. I think we just went through the long dark winter with Napoleon through.
Oh, it's been right. I see what you did there.
Yeah. I think we just went through the long winter with Napoleon in terms of journalism being bad, and people taking the lazy approach. And I see this next generation rising up and getting it right. I really think it's going to happen. I mean, people are...
Renee DiResta sure impressed me in your last video.
Oh my gosh, she's brilliant. She's great.
Glenn Greenwald sure impresses me.
Who's that?
He's a writer for The Guardian. I think he's married to a dude from Brazil. They've got a family, and he's one of these guys who, because of who he is and how he lives and what he writes about, like, everybody gets after him from all sides. And he's an actual journalist who does actual reporting and actual investigation, and I like him.
The feeling I have now as an older man looking at these journalists that are doing their best and trying really, really hard and fighting, I have the same feeling towards them as I did towards my favorite baseball players when I was younger.
You mean Cal Ripken Jr.?
Yeah, Cal was my favorite, but like even
I just wanted friend points.
Yeah, you got him. Thanks,
Thank
George
you.
Brett. So
yeah, it's like the third time I've got friend points on that.
Yeah, but
so you look up to these people.
Yeah, like I see these people. You know what it's like. You knew George Brett, but you also respected Jim Abbott and Earl Hershiser and
yeah, the dude had one arm and he was a big leaguer.
Ken Griffey Jr. You respected these other people like they weren't your favorite, but you saw them and you're like, that's a good player.
Yeah.
They're on the other team, but that's a good player right there, right? So I really feel like we're rounding the corner on this. I don't know what you want to call it, the dark ages of journalism, and I feel like we're coming out of it. And I think the people are about to start getting it right. I feel that way.
I hope so.
I feel like the pendulum has swung. The law of undulation. The pendulum was on the other side for so long, and I think it's coming back.
I've been saying this, and I realize I've been lying to myself for about the last 5 years. I'm like, I think it's reached the high water mark of our stupidity, of our cannibalizing each other, of we keep using the word, but of this insane, overwrought tribalism. I think this is the year it's going to start to taper off. And I have been wrong every single time. Every successive year for the last 5 or 6 years, this has become insaner. And where I find encouragement now that I haven't found encouragement in the past is that it suddenly feels like there's an explanation that I can latch on to that is better than people just became savages all of a sudden. People just became stupid. For a long time, we just blamed it on social media. The internet makes you anonymous, and that makes everybody worse. Well, maybe, but even when people aren't anonymous, they're pretty awful on the internet sometimes. You know
what Renee said?
What?
Renee said she is studying this stuff to the next level. And, in a moment between camera takes or whatever, she goes, you know what we're doing? I was like, who's we? She's like, me and my friends. We're starting to fracture into smaller communities on the internet where you can trust people. Smaller communities where you don't have to worry about, it's not like walking out into the middle of a stadium being like, baseball, am I right? It's like you walk down to the few seats that you have with the other season ticket holders and you see the same people. She's like, we're starting to build these smaller, more fragmented communities that are built on trust inside the internet. She said that's what she's seeing. I mean, what the heck do you think No Dumb Questions is, dude? We got the third chair right here. What up, third chair?
What up,
there's some hussars right there. You see what I'm saying?
Also that. You and I pay attention to the social dynamic of this group.
Yeah.
And if there was no social dynamic to it, I don't think we would keep doing this. I mean, the feedback loop that exists with the third chair is the fun. Because it does feel like if we're talking about the stuff we're talking about, that should self-select an audience of people who we want to hang out with on the internet.
I think it's getting better, dude. I do.
I like your optimism. The place where I feel hope is that you're offering me an explanation as to what went wrong.
You can't be naive and be like, oh, that was it, and now we understand it, so we're done now. So this is how an adversary works.
I said an explanation, not the explanation.
Understood. But this is how an adversary that wants to do evil against you works. Like, we now have, the OODA loop thing that I described a couple of videos ago. Observe, orient, decide, act. So basically, whenever you interact as an organism with your environment, you observe the environment around you, you orient yourself to that environment, you decide on what you're going to do, and then you do it. But if you're interacting with another organism that also has the ability to do that, they're also going to have their own OODA loop. So if they respond faster than you, then you're reacting to old information. So what's happening right now, guaranteed, is these people that were hell-bent on doing wrong to us and making us eat each other, they've already changed. And so we've observed them, and we're now orienting to them. And unfortunately, it takes a long time for Congress to make laws or for law enforcement to react to things. They're reacting to old information, and I guarantee the game has already changed. But what I hope has happened is we become more charitable to each other, because I do believe that's a countermeasure that beats all of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. We cannot appoint enough task forces, enough agents to go and track this down.
No.
The technological nature of the internet means we'll always be behind. I agree. But if we, like you and me as individuals on the internet, are the target of these operations, that people are trying to pry open in each of our individual brains the Pandora's box of relentless post-truth tribalism, then as you've said, as we've talked about, the countermeasure is just exactly what you described. Now, I understand the mechanisms. I understand that there is an advantage that other people have to making me hate my neighbor. And by neighbor, I mean anyone I interact with. And so if they want to make me hate my neighbor, my countermeasure is refuse to hate my neighbor. Just don't do it.
This is what I know. Your phrase, political grace, is genius. And thank you for letting me borrow it on the internet. It's wonderful. Thank you for letting me use it.
Dude, we can share it.
Cool. This is the other thing I know, brother.
Tell me.
I have been awake for well over 40 hours.
Are you kidding? Really? You haven't slept at all in 40 hours?
24. It's about that, yeah. I slept.
Yeah, it's taking you that long to do the math.
I slept for 10 minutes on accident this morning.
I'm not counting it.
I'm at the point where I'm worried about my physical health. I'm going to get off this thing, and I appreciate you, and this was fun.
I agree. Yeah, I'm sorry that I endangered your physical health.
No, not at all. I'm uploading something
in the
other room.
Every single member of that third chair is grateful to the sacrifices you have made to make this happen.
I feel like that's sarcasm, but my sarcasm detector is broken.
It sure was. I do appreciate it. Thanks for engaging with me on all of this tonight.
Here's what I'm also hoping, that you are going to be charitable in the edit.
I'll see what I can do. Thanks,
all right,
buddy.
my
friend. I'll let you be. Have a good night.
I appreciate you. This was fun.